I'm going to marry the woman I'm having an affair with, so divorce me.
My husband says so, openly. And then he even said this to me.
I need you to take care of my parents for my new married life.
Huh? I'm counting on you from now on. I can't be with these insane people who don't even blame their own son for having an affair, but instead try to depend on me. So I told them something. My in-laws turned blue and got down on their knees to me as hard as they could. I am so sorry. My name is Mel. I am a 40-year-old part-time housewife. My husband and I have been married for about 16 years. We met through work. We are colleagues in the same company. We worked together on the same projects and went out for drinks. My husband was 2 years older than me and seemed to be a much more mature man to me at that time. He was funny and cool, and I fell in love with him at once. After a few dates, we started dating. After about a year of dating, he proposed to me. We got married. I was very happy that I was going to marry the man I loved. I was only 24 years old at the time, but I think I really loved him because I still decided to marry him. After that, my husband and I worked together and had a happy married life. 3 years into our marriage, our son, Zach, was born. He was so cute. I thought he was an angel when he was just born. We were building a good family and were happy. I think it was a good thing that I quit my job after the birth because I was able to devote myself to raising our son and spend a lot of time with him. And I had a good relationship with my in-laws. When I visited my in-laws, they talked to me kindly with smiles on their faces. It made me feel comfortable. I thought that we had a really happy married life. My in-laws love their grandson, Zach, very much, so they often came in our house or would invite us to theirs. Then my husband made this suggestion.
Why don't we move in with my parents? Then they could see Zach every day and we could live in a big house without paying rent.
Indeed, I thought his proposal was a good one. It was because of the good relationship between my in-laws and me at that time. My son is going to grow up and it would be better for him to live in a bigger house where he can live freely. So I agreed to live with them. However, I came to realize that my decision was wrong at that time. At first, I thought that living together was going very well. My parents-in-law seemed very happy to be able to live with their grandchild, and my husband seemed relaxed to be back at home. I did my best to do housework as a housewife, and my parents-in-law and my husband never complained to me. My son grew up to be a good boy, and we all watched him grow up. However, there was one thing that bothered me a little. My parents-in-law spoiled my son too much, buying him everything and giving him allowance without my permission. I saw this and thought it was not good for his upbringing, so one day I said to my in-laws, "Could you please stop buying Zach so many things?" When I said this, my in-laws' eyes widened, and they became angry. "Are you going to deprive us of the joy of spending time with our Zach? Do you think you are the only one raising him?" My in-laws yelled at me like that, but as a mother, I wanted to educate him properly. That's why I didn't back down. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, feel free to play with Zach. But please don't buy him things without asking me first.
Even if you say that, if Zach wants something, we want to buy it for him.
That's right. What if we don't buy it and we make him sad and he hates us? Are you going to take responsibility? It seems that my parents-in-law buy things for their grandchild to make him like them. But how are they going to take responsibility if my son becomes selfish because of it? I will explain to him that his grandparents are very kind and love him. So please, stop buying him too many things. Even though I had said all this, my in-laws did not seem to be convinced. Then they started talking to my husband when he came home from work as if it was my fault. Mel doesn't want us to play with Zach. She wants him all by herself. She wants to be the only one who gets to love him. I was surprised to hear my in-laws say something completely different, and my husband took them at their word.
Hey, what's the meaning of this? Are you being mean to my mom and dad?
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't do anything like that. I explained it to my husband. I told him that I just wanted them to stop buying too many things for Zach's sake. But he only believed what my in-laws said, not what I said.
That's a load of crap. Don't lie to me like that.
I'm not lying.
So you think my parents are lying?
My husband's eyes widened and he got angry like that. In the end, no matter how much I tried to explain, he believed what my in-laws said.
I didn't think you were such a terrible woman.
Since then, my parents-in-law have been cold to me.
The food you cook tastes bad. You serve fish too often.
Don't treat us like we're old, idiot.
Don't embarrass my mother and father. You're such a useless wife.
That's what they say to me every day. How can they keep abusing me like that? I think it's mentally exhausting to keep on being picking on, and so I even considered divorce. But my son was still small, about 5 years old at the time, and I had been a housewife since he was born and had not worked for a long time, so I was worried about whether I would be able to find a new job. Besides, I was not sure if I would be able to leave with my son. Under the current circumstances, my in-laws can take care of him and my husband has a stable salary, so they might decide that it would be better for them to take him instead of me. I did not want to give up my son just because things were not going well with my in-laws, so I just had to endure without divorce. My in-laws and my husband began to say worse and worse things to me because I didn't resist. They abused me so much that I wondered if they were really the same people I'd known before, and I stopped thinking of them as human beings. It makes me feel a little better. I lived a hard life day by day in this way. No matter how badly my husband and in-laws treated me, I thought it would be better if I could be there to watch my son grow up. My son grew up fast and entered elementary school. I was worried that he might become selfish because my in-laws had given him too many things, but he is a good boy at home, and it seems to be the same at school. I was very happy when the homeroom teacher told me during the parent-teacher conference that my son is a very kind and considerate boy. And my son was studying hard and his grades were good. But for some reason, the people who were aware of this were making it as if it was their own achievement.
I guess it's because we did a good job raising him.
That's right. We praise him and we buy him whatever he wants. That's important. It doesn't make sense that if you buy him what he wants, his grades will improve. But my in-laws seem to want to involve themselves in everything. I just try to listen to them, praise my son's hard work. I never tried to bribe him with things like my in-laws did, but he still adored me. He always talked to me and told me about things that happened at school. I guess my in-laws did not like that. When my son reached middle school, the amount of things they bought for him increased. They used to buy him sweets and toys, but this time, they bought him the latest gaming consoles and games. No matter how much I tried to stop them, they wouldn't let me. So I had to teach my son not to play too much and to be punctual and keep his promises. But even then, my in-laws still got themselves involved in a troublesome manner.
We feel sorry for him if he still wants to play. We want Zach to have fun, so we bought it for him.
Then I would report it to my husband and he would yell at me. I was completely disgusted. Anyway, all I wanted was for my son to grow up to be a good man. That was all I could think about as I went about my daily life. Time passed by and my son turned 13 years old. He's now a high school student and he's going through puberty, which may be very difficult for me as a parent. While I was thinking about this, an unexpected problem occurred. It was my husband's day off. My husband suddenly called me into the bedroom, saying he wanted to talk to me. What on earth did he mean by inviting me here? I knew that he had no intention to do that, because he and I had completely cooled off, and I myself didn't want to do such a thing with him anymore. While I was thinking about this, my husband suddenly made a surprising statement.
I'm going to marry the person with whom I'm having an affair.
What? I was surprised at the unexpected words from my husband.
Well, it's understandable to be surprised. I've been trying to keep you in the dark, but I thought it was time to tell you.
My husband told me so openly. Why would he want to tell the world that he's having an affair? Well, I don't know what a stupid person thinks. And finally, he says something like this.
I'm counting on you to take care of my parents for my new married life.
Huh? Wait a minute. You're getting a divorce, right? Then I'll have to leave with Zach, won't I? I said that and he said something crazy.
I'm the one who's leaving.
What? What do you mean?
So I'm going to leave here and start a new married life with my new wife. And I'm worried about my parents, so I'm leaving you in charge of the house. You'll have a house to live in with Zach, so it's a win-win.
I was speechless. It's not a win-win at all. I was at a loss for words at that crazy comment.
Well then, I'll tell them about it right away,
my husband said, and suddenly started to go to the living room. I hurried after him. He gave the same explanation to my parents-in-law as he had given to me. I thought they would be angry at my husband for this, but my in-laws were also crazy people. Yes, I'll miss you, but, well, it can't be helped.
I know. The newlyweds should spend their honeymoon alone, so you'll take care of everything else, huh? I'll be counting on you.
My in-laws don't blame their own son for having an affair and try to depend on me. If you leave, I'll make sure you leave Zach behind. If you leave, you'll be the only one. I can't be with these insane people. I told them something. I'm telling you, since this is my husband's divorce, I can claim alimony and I have a better chance of getting my son.
What? What do you mean?
Because my husband committed adultery. Normally, the adulterer never gets custody, and the mother usually gets that.
Wait a minute. Then you'll take Zach and leave, won't you?
Yes, of course. That's the plan.
I won't let you.
That's it. Let's talk to Zach. My in-laws and my husband said so and went to call our son. Are they going to tell him everything? My son came into the living room. What's wrong?
Mom and Dad are getting a divorce.
What?
So you would like to stay here with your grandparents, wouldn't you?
That's an unfair way of explaining and asking questions. I quickly made my point. You better explain to him that you are divorcing me because of your adultery. When I said this, my husband and in-laws were in a panic.
Zach is just a junior high school student.
That's right. What are you trying to do to him by shocking him? My in-laws and husband were blaming me, but before I could say anything back, my son started talking. You're the one who caused the shock, aren't you? Why are you all blaming my mother? Well, I mean, I heard you all arguing earlier. So if you get divorced, which one of you will I follow? Of course, it's Mom. Zach, why? And don't you want to live with Grandpa and Grandma? You know, you were nice to me, but you were terrible to Mom, weren't you? To be honest, I can't forgive you. I despised you, and I despise Dad for not protecting her. Despise? My in-laws looked shocked. Anyway, I have one answer. I'm leaving here with my mom. From now on, I will protect her. Zach. I was so happy that my son was on my side. Then my in-laws turned pale and got down on their knees to me as hard as they could. We are sorry. Please don't leave this house. I don't want my grandchild to leave. My parents-in-law begged me. My husband, too.
Please, can't you guys stay here?
He asked me again, saying that it's his plan. My son and I were not going to give in at any cost. Zach and I will no longer have anything to do with you. We will leave this house. And we will leave this house for good. I said this and started to pack up my things. My son joined me in packing his bag with only what he needed for the time being.
Where are you going? I screwed up. If you guys go to your parents' house, Zach will have to change schools. Don't you feel sorry for him?
My husband said things like that and tried to keep us here until the end. But then my son said to him, I'd rather change schools than to stay in this house forever. You should first be sorry for what you have done to Mom. The worst thing you did was to have an affair. Do you realize how much you've done to her? My husband is being told off like that by a child who has just started high school. I tried hard not to laugh at how hilarious it was. My husband was kneeling on the ground with a pale face. My in-laws were so exhausted that they just slumped down on the ground. My son and I left the house, and I drove to my parents' house with him by my side. After that, I hired a lawyer and demanded divorce, alimony, and child support for my husband. Of course, I also demanded alimony from the adulterous partner. My husband thought that if I moved in with my parents, he would not have to pay child support. However, everything did not go as planned, and as a result, he had to pay alimony and child support. Furthermore, the affair partner also said that the story he had told her was different, and so he was eventually dumped. He is currently staying with my in-laws and putting most of his income towards alimony and child support. Incidentally, I told the neighbors about the affair and sent a certified letter to my ex-husband's workplace, so people around my ex-husband know about it, and they look at him coldly and refuse to get involved with him. Because of you, we can't see Zach anymore. My ex-in-laws would blame my ex-husband.
It's because of my money that you have been living a good life, right?
It's said that they have been quarreling every day. My ex-husband sent me a message saying that he wanted to get back together with me, but I only read the message and blocked him. I also blocked his incoming calls so that he could not contact me at all. After I went back to my hometown with my son, I started working as an office worker for a friend of my father's company. Now, I am raising my son as a single mother with the support of my parents. My son has remained a kind-hearted child despite all that has happened, and he seems to be adjusting well to his new school. I will continue to work as hard as I can and watch my son grow up.